So I tried out for the track team. Hold on. That's right. I tried out for the track team when I was in the 7th grade, and God only knows why. I don't remember thinking much about the decision. I just decided to go for it. I mean, why not? Sure, I'd never trained for a running event of any kind in my life, and sure, my only athletic experience to date was a failed t-ball experience in the 3rd grade. But I was fairly good at tag, even freeze tag, on the playground when middle schoolers used to play because they didn't have phones. I admit I was more of a garden variety bookworm than an athlete, and some might have even labeled me the class nerd. But whatever, I was going to go for it. So, on this crisp February day, my non-athlete self was prepping for the audition, the tryout. And let me tell you, I looked the part. I had baggy sweatpants pulled up to just under my knee. That's how. A really big t-shirt knotted at the waist. A ponytail with a scrunchie on the other side, high. Bangs, definitely up to here. I can still smell the Aquanet, can you? And I also had these dorky glasses that kept sliding down my nose, but don't worry about that. My grade school had this super long hallway, right, in our building. I mean, at the time, it seemed super long. Probably I'd go back now and it's like 2 feet. But you would guess at the time that it was like at least 100 meters. I'm sure it was, because when you heard the whistle blow, the entire thing was to run as fast as you can to the other end, and they would time you, the coaches. And then they would, at the end of the night, tally all of the times, and the 7 fastest runners would get to make the squad or the team or whatever it's called. And I assume that's because that's how many kids would fit in the van to go to the meets. So when I went to tryouts that day, dressed to the nines, I started stretching. Ugh. And I was forming a plan. Now, I was ready to take one of those 7 spots because I was convinced that this was the start of my journey to follow in Jackie Joyner-Kersey's footsteps. I could see myself on that Olympic podium. I might have even been humming the national anthem in my head. But remember, I have no clue about sprinting or long distance running or anything that requires muscles or endurance or strength of any kind. So without consulting anyone I knew, remember we didn't have YouTube University back then, I unilaterally decided that my guaranteed way to the fastest possible time and a spot on the track team and eventually Olympic gold would be to do butt kicks all the way down the hall. That's right, I legitimately thought that would get me a spot in the bag. Clearly, common sense was not my forte. And in case you currently are as clueless as I was then about the mechanics of running, butt kicks are the slowest possible way to run a 100-meter dash. So needless to say, I did not make the team. When I look back on it, I actually see a strong connection between my bookish nature and my decision to try out for the track team. I was really desperate for an escape. The older I got, I started feeling less and less confident in who I was, and more like a nobody. And the more I felt like a nobody, the more I hid behind my books. I read a little bit of everything, but my favorite, my jam, Sweet Valley High. I secretly fantasized about moving to California and becoming besties with Elizabeth and Jessica Wakefield. We would go on the weekends to the beach in their Fiat. The goal was to leave behind the mundane life that I lived in a small town in southern Illinois where I was as self-conscious and as insecure as they come. To be fair, I did have a couple of what Brene Brown calls marble jar friends. These are friends that have shown over time that you can depend on them and that you can trust them. And I loved these friends dearly, and thank God for them. But I was also acutely aware of how very not cool we were. To give you an example of how not cool we were, we would call each other up on the phone, and we would plan on a regular basis to wear matching Dare to Keep Kids Off Drugs shirts Unironically, yes. That's how very not cool we were. And for some reason, I really badly wanted to be cool. I wanted to fit in, and I did not want to be so awkward. I so badly wanted acceptance by everyone. I wanted to please everyone. And side note, I really wanted a boyfriend. That is ironic because when I was around boys, you could pretty much multiply my awkwardness by like a million. Any sense of personality or self-assurance that I did have vanished when I was around boys. And it didn't even have to be boys that I thought were cute or that I had a crush on. Literally all boys. They were like my kryptonite. I would start sweating profusely. There would be an extreme amount of saliva in my mouth, like it was foaming, and there was like the little spittle at the corner. Also, I had this ridiculous and inexplicable nervous laugh that combined with the sweating and the saliva, it was just not cute. When it came to boys, for the most part, I didn't even make it in the friend zone. I was in the twilight zone. In spite of that, I somehow did end up dating 2 boys in junior high. And can we just take a moment to recognize the ridiculousness of dating in junior high? Does anyone remember the dances? Smell of your car everywhere? Ugh. I won't go into all the details, but I do have a plethora of cringe-worthy stories about my dating life. And if you want to hear them, come find me at the after party. Fast forward to my current life. I mentor and coach teen girls. And when I hear about their middle school stories, I can totally relate. They often share the same insecurities and anxieties and frustrations and desires that I had. And I assure them they're not alone. I actually get to provide them with some empathy and guidance, and they have a sigh of relief knowing that there's someone that can not only relate, but survived. I can also reassure them that luckily at this point in my life, I have the sweating and saliva and giggling under control, for the most part. I think back to that track tryout, and at the time, I wish I had known that butt kicks were not the way to go. I wish that someone had told me, or maybe that I'd had the guts to ask someone, or that the internet had been invented so I could have Googled it. And then maybe, just maybe, I would have made the track team and become a jock instead of a nerd, and my life would have taken an entirely different trajectory. I hate to admit that I've actually thought this about many of my stupid and awkward and naive moments throughout junior high and high school, college, and a couple last week. Up until recent memory, I have often wished that I knew how to be more chill, a little less insecure, know how to say the right things at the right time, and most of all, be a little more prepared to deal with the awkward situations that I put myself in. But now, I can stand in front of you and say, as an almost fully grown adult, I'll be 40 in August, I'm here to say I'm okay with how it all worked out. You see, I kept trying to escape. Each time I switched high schools or left for college, started a new relationship, even after I graduated and was looking for a job, I was looking for an escape. Y'all, it finally dawned on me that I could not escape. I couldn't escape to Sweet Valley High or the Olympics or the perfect relationship or career because, and here comes my tweetable moment, so I'll give you a minute to take out your phones. Wherever I went, there I was. And the true place I was trying to escape, the true place where my insecurities and my perceived uncoolness originated was, and sometimes still is, my own mind. The negative self-talk in my own mind, helped along by everyone's favorite comparison tool, Facebook, was always the problem. But like Dorothy with the ruby slippers, the power is with me all along. So that's the good news. I have, at long last, learned that I can choose my thoughts and shut down that negative self-talk. And I get to create empowering moments for myself and those around me. And I get to be a force for change in this world. Newsflash, guys, just like that insecure and completely clueless 7th grade girl going out for the track team, I'm still pretty awkward. and I still don't fit in all the time, and trust me, I'm very not cool. The difference is that now I own my uncoolness, and in doing that, I'm actually pretty cool. It's kind of like opposite day, opposite life. So, if you happen to see me running the Illinois Half Marathon next month, you might see a few butt kicks along the way.